It's Friday.
I never know what to say at the beginning. Alright? Alright? No, I do when I'm shouting stuff. You notice that I do this as well when I start. That sound of my face.
Why is that? Is that a nervous twitch or something? Tick.
What?
Oh God.
Don't know what you're talking about.
Don't. Stop it. Right.
What do we want to talk about Friday? So we thought we'd talk a little bit about ourselves. You've heard enough about me, I would imagine, by now. We wanted to chat about really our backgrounds, a bit about our training, like nutrition, maybe to just give you an insight into probably more so what we do and how we got to where we are and what's brought us into becoming fitness professionals and delivering the stuff we do to you wonderful people. Lou's is far more interesting than mine, so Lou can cover most of this time, and I'll just do a little bit about me after. It's probably the best way to do it, I would suggest. Where's your sporting background, Lou? Really, I guess is really where it starts.
It kind of all stems from. Well, yeah, I mean, I've been doing sports since I can remember. Really, I think the biggest thing for me was my gymnastics. I think that sort of started everything off. From the age of 7 till probably about 16. I was sort of a competitive gymnast, training in Torbay, and then I moved clubs and was training in Plymouth. I was doing training up there like 3 times a week. And then, like I said, from the age of 16, I went more into coaching. I think that's obviously where I kind of started with regards to my career path, really. I was running classes and helping to run the gym and sort of, coaching gymnasts from like I said, I was about 16 years old. But, although gymnastics was my main focus, I used to do other things as well. Mum and Dad used to, take me to horse riding, and I had dance lessons, and I, did swimming and everything else as kids do.
Probably decided horse riding was too much of an expensive hobby to have, I would imagine. That got stopped quite quickly. Sorry, Tom.
Although I did get thrown from a horse, so that was probably why as well.
that might have put you off a bit.
But then I ended up sort of, when I was at school again, did hockey, netball, all that sort of stuff. So it was a bit of an all-rounder. Hated cross-country.
Don't think anyone likes cross-country,
Hated
do they?
Cross-country.
I used to do it just to get out of school. True story. I did. I'll get onto me in a minute. It's about Lou now, but yeah, part of the reason I did cross-country is because I was pretty good athletically, and I thought,
I don't know, how can we get out of lessons?
I'll do it, sir. And then hated every minute. I think I'd rather have been at school, to be fair.
Horrible. Anyway, but it wasn't until I went to university when I was 21, that I started my pole vaulting. I'd done bits of athletics at school, and until very recently I had actually held the record for it wasn't 100 metres at the time. I know the
hurdles,
school hurdles, record. So that obviously withstand quite a long time. But so I used to do a bit of long jumping.
Clinging on to past glories there, aren't you? Yeah. You genuinely go about that, aren't you? I was like, Lou, that's a long time ago.
It's a
really long time ago.
It would have been, I don't know, from like the late 90s until, a good 4 years ago, I reckon. Anyway, so when I moved to university, it was the facilities basically. I was not, doing as much gymnastics. I was still coaching, but wanted to try something different really. And I think my background in my gymnastics just led me to pole vaulting really.
That's what I was going to say to you. I was going to ask you a question actually. Do you think that was a naturally they look coaches, pole vaulting coaches?
Yeah, it's a good transferable skill. A lot of the work you do, 90% of the work you do when you're pole vaulting is gymnastics based. So it
hanging upside down.
Yeah, quite a natural progression to move on to.
Because I was going to say that, like most people joke about it when they ask you don't just pick up most people just don't get into pole. You don't just get into pole vaulting, do you? Or vaulting. I don't know how you call it in your line of work.
No, and
vaulting or pole vaulting.
Vaulting. Well, it's the same.
Yeah, I know, but like, you know,
Vaulting,
like, would
yeah.
it be uncool to say pole vaulting? Oh god, he ain't got a clue. Or would you say vaulting? Oh, you don't know. He's too long out the game. What
Don't think about it.
What are what do the kids call it nowadays? I want to sound hip and be like, yeah, vaulting, man.
Probably vaulting.
Okay,
There you
carry
go. Oh my god. I've lost train of thought. Right.
Transferable skills.
Transferable skills. There you go. So yeah, I mean, when I first started, it was, you know, you start doing some like jumps from 4 steps, 6 steps. You don't sort of start at the end of the runway and go, here's a pole, run and jump. It's it is very progressive. And from there, I think, you know, with my sporting background, I did pick it up pretty quickly. And within a couple of years, I was, you know, at the European under-23s and it sort of, it was, you know, top 3 in the UK, and it kind of, it sort of snowballed really. And then sort of 2007, I moved to Loughborough and I was training with the top guys up there. And
you had obviously the facilities. Obviously, at Cardiff you had it, and then
I mean, Cardiff was brilliant. It's where I started, and it was starting to develop. Loughborough was the sort of the hub where the sort of the top guys trained, and they still do. And I think the thing I really enjoyed about it was the variety of the training. I think, you know, we used to vault twice a week. We used to do gymnastics twice a week. We used to sprint. We used to do like hill runs. And that's kind of where I started sort of getting into the gym and lifting weights as well. But, you know, a lot of Olympic lifting, which later then helped when not so long ago we were doing CrossFit and things like that. So it's, like I said, it's all those, it was that variety, I think. So
it's a combination of like skill work, gymnastics, speed, gymnastics,
lifting,
power, Olympic lifting. So it's quite well rounded, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, which I think is what I enjoyed. I think if I hadn't have pole vaulted, I probably would have gone into multi events, sort of, and doing bits of everything, so like heptathlon and things like that. But I think pole vault was the thing that sort of struck me, and like I said, it obviously worked because I sort of progressed relatively quickly.
Jessica Ennis Hill. Is it Jessica Ennis Hill?
Yes.
And the new Katarina Johnson Thompson.
I'm not saying that, but
well, that's the vibe I'm getting. So if only I got into multi-event.
Only. So you know, I can't not the career I had. It was, you know, it's amazing, and I met some amazing people, and the coaching and all the opportunities that it opened as well, you know, with sports science and the conditioning coaches and therapy and rehab and things that the amount of, I probably learned more, you know, within my professional sport, not necessarily more than I did obviously when I did my personal training courses, but you know, university and things like that helped as well. But
I do think
it's the experience and you learning practically from other people and going through those experiences as well. I think it's helped me become a better coach and a personal trainer, because I know kind of, you know, what things work and how to vary training sessions and things like that as well. So I mean, once I stopped vaulting, I then went on a completely different path and decided to run marathons. No idea why. But I did a couple.
So you went from like, you basically
running
went from
about
power, like short power.
20 meters to.
That's not 20 meters.
Yeah, all right. I can't. My arms
do
don't go that far.
a marathon then. Show how long a marathon is.
Like this far.
Should be out the screen really, shouldn't it?
20
meters.
But it was just something to. I think I wanted to do something completely different from vaulting. I think I'd gone as far as I could. I didn't necessarily want to be doing the same sort of training, and
quite
just
intense,
wanted to challenge.
Isn't it?
Yeah, and I wanted to challenge myself in a different way. You know, I hated long distance running, and so I did, you know, a couple of half marathons, and then decided to run the London Marathon. So, and then from there, that's when I started working. That's when I qualified as a personal trainer and was in the gym a lot more. And we then got into CrossFit, didn't we? And again, that's that was new challenges that.
Bearing in mind, I'd never really done any Olympic lifting before.
No.
We'll get onto me in a minute, but again, I won't chat as much. But that was my first experience. Working into that is developing my training by having Olympic lifting as part of my training regime. So it was a real eye opener for me because I'd done a lot of strength / sort of hypertrophy work, which is very, very
gymnastics
different.
as well. You hadn't done any gymnastics.
No, we did some gymnastics,
which is
stuff.
obviously CrossFit. Requires quite a lot of that as well. The one thing though,
I can do like 50-meter handstand walks now, easy. Definitely can't.
Definitely can't. But like I was saying, the one thing that I've taken from all different sports that I've done is the structure, is the programs, it's the routine, it's knowing what I'm doing week on week. It's more. I mean, my training program for when I was vaulting was obviously to the second of every day. But even with the running side of things, I had certain days I had to do shorter runs, had to be in the gym doing strength sessions, core sessions, longer run days. I've always had a coach. I've always had someone to write programs for me, or if they can't, I've always had that structure. I mean, that's why when we train, I tend to let him, but yeah, Kev does most of the sessions because again, I like to have, right, this is what we're doing, we'll do that now, and it's almost like a coach.
That's how you respond better, isn't it, I guess?
Having someone tell me what to do.
Basically. It's the only opportunity I get to tell her what to do.
That is true.
I make the most of it and make the sessions extremely challenging, and I'm like, that works, doesn't it? Tends to work.
Yeah. So, well, that's me in a nutshell. And so then up until 2 years ago when we set up the business, I mean, my training probably for the past, since I stopped running and we stopped maybe doing CrossFit, is probably pretty similar. I'm doing weights like 3 times a week. Now I'm spinning a bit more, which I wasn't doing before. So I've got a couple of 3 spin sessions a week. A few cardio sessions. Again, I love the boot camps, and if I can join in with them, and Kevin and I are both the same. It's good fun. It's competitive, which is me to a T anyway. So it's this. I'm quite happy with the balance that we've got with regards to training at the minute, and we're trying to fit that in with work and stuff here and the dog and everything else. I think it's just I've got a set routine and it works.
Structure and discipline, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's having the structure. And you've got the discipline because that's been built into you over the years through the training, gymnastics, vaulting. So it gives you've definitely got that discipline, and I think, like you said, and you're obviously good at educating other people and coaching other people. But like you said, I like to be coached sometimes. I also like to take the lead sometimes in sessions.
And when we do Ollie lifting.
Yeah, you definitely take the lead on that.
Yeah, because again, it's something that I've been doing for years.
Yeah,
and
you've got, technically you can see things far better than I can.
Yeah.
I mean, anyway, with someone else doing it, it's easy if you've got someone watching you and analysing you a little bit. And I can certainly analyse yours as well now because I've learned a bit more. I don't confess to be anywhere near an expert in Olympic lifting by any means, but there's certain things I can see and tweak and look at in other people, and you need that with yourself. And that's obviously with personal training, with what we do. Because some of the stuff we do with clients can be a bit more technical, and depending on what they're doing. You do some Ollie lifting with some people, some clients. I do a little bit with clients as well. It's great. It's really rewarding. It's a lot of technical stuff.
Yeah.
So it does require a lot of time and
but I think
energy in terms of you've really got to want to do it. You can't just dip into it and do it every so often unless you've got a lot of experience previously, if you're doing it for the first time.
But then, like you said, it is very rewarding when things click, or you lift a weight that you haven't necessarily lifted before, or
because more recently we've started doing more Ollie lifting again. Obviously it's a bit more challenging at the moment, but we're doing that, and I'm certainly finding it really rewarding. I'm not saying that as clients and as people we work with that we're going to get you Ollie lifting, and it won't work for some people, and it just won't be the focus and the main goal. Ollie lifting or Olympic lifting as a whole isn't necessarily. It will help improve body composition to a certain degree, but it's more about performance and power output, isn't it? Essentially, done in the proper way. CrossFit element of it is more it's higher volume, which has its pros and cons from doing that. And realistically, you really shouldn't be doing high volume stuff with ollie lifting movements, but
again, it's it just depends on what you want to focus your training on. If you want to go performance based, it's it's a good place to start. Or going away from that is how many you want to try and do a pull up, or you want to try and hit 10 pull ups in a row. It's it's making it performance based rather than obviously focusing on body composition. But I think it's like I said, my sporting background in all sports it's obviously kind of helped me become the PT I am today. And who's to say that I'll take up a new sport, I don't know, next year or something. I don't know what I'd do. I haven't got any time. I don't know what.
You got something in mind?
No, I'm quite happy not doing anything too specific at the minute.
So I ideally have to be doing something that involves something competitive.
But I think obviously
I do. It's just in my nature. I have to be doing something for me that is is going to ultimately cause me to win or lose or achieve or not. I have to. That's what pushes and motivates me. It isn't the taking part. I'll be 100% honest with you.
No, and I think
for me, I'm talking personally. I'm not talking about other people. I think everyone has a competitive element or nature to themselves. Some more so than others, but everyone's got a little bit in there in some way. There is there. It just might be not a lot for some people, and then.
I think for.
Do you want to say something?
Yes.
Just talk over me like I do to you. So don't worry about it.
For you've always played team sports.
Mm-hmm.
Like every sport that I've ever done. And not enjoyed, but done quite well at. It's individual. I've never, not that I'm not a team player, because a lot of every sport I've done involves a team at some point. But my gymnastics, I'm out on my own. My pole vaulting, I'm out on my own. We did some individual CrossFit, the running, all that sort of stuff. And I think I quite like that environment because I can control it. And I've never really branched out into team sports or anything like that. So that could be something.
Rugby. It's in the family.
It is indeed. I just play out the wings.
Make your dad, how's your dad, wasn't it? Make your dad proud.
There you go, at 35 I'm going to start playing rugby.
Yeah, maybe not.
Oh God, my back couldn't take it. It hurts now just thinking about it.
I'm not, and the thing is, like, I have played team sports. Like, obviously I've played football, and that's been my background. Again, I actually won't go into it today because I've got to talk about it really, but maybe another day. But my background has been playing football at, most of my years, youth through to, adult, at a really good level. And then obviously other things have taken over. Still play at a good level now, but certainly, nothing like I used to. And ultimately I don't, same with you with vaulting, like I still play football, but I don't train enough. I don't do enough specific skills over the period of like a week or over a period of time to allow me to play at that level. And I know that, I'm honest about that. Priorities change, but I love football. It is my passion. Again, I talk about it, but I love most sports. I could watch anything. Lou will tell you, anything on TV, like anything competitive, anything that's...
What did we randomly have on the other day that you were watching?
Do you remember that? It's like
where they have to like hold hands and throw.
Oh yeah, it's like an Indian thing. Someone will come up with that.
Oh, the fishing was on the other day. That was it.
Competitive fishing. That's the level of. That's my level of
angling.
Boredom. Yeah, angling. I got to admit, even that was testing me.
I was like, why is this still on?
I was like watching it, going, I'm about 50 minutes left. I'm still watching this. I have no idea why. I'm actually going to turn it over. Anyway, so just saying the competitive element, and for me, background has always been team sport, but I like the individual stuff as well. I'll push myself running, I'll push myself training, so I'm not against that. I just think it's what I've been used to over a number of years. Like I said, my my background isn't. It's still good. I'm still proud of what I've done. I'm still proud of the level I've played at with football. Yeah, probably could have gone on and maybe done a little bit more. I'm not saying I've been professional by any means, but it was a certain time, sort of early 20s, where I had to make a decision really about what I was going to do in terms of, play football as a side thing and a bit of fun and a hobby. Still competitive though. Like, I don't get me wrong. Like, I wouldn't. And this is no disrespect, but I wouldn't play at a level that just wouldn't challenge me. It just wouldn't. It wouldn't motivate me to go and play at a level that isn't competitive against good players. If I went and played in a Sunday league or played in Div 3 or 4 or whatever in the local leagues, not interested whatsoever. And no disrespect to anyone else playing at that level, but it just wouldn't motivate me. I'm not that bothered. I think it would have to provide me with enough stimulus to get fired up and want to play on a Saturday. So and then I made a decision in early 20s, obviously to then sort of develop what I was doing, take that sporting background. I did loads of sports when I was younger. I'm talking about it now, I might as well. When I was younger, a bit of everything really. Football was always the main sport. Like I said, same with you with gymnastics. Like, that was the focus, and I just a bit of swim. Quite a good swimmer. Bits of running. Never really played. Did a bit of rugby at school and stuff like that. But yeah, nothing other than football really. Never did gymnastics. I wish I'd done gymnastics really when I was younger. But I think probably probably back in, and this is probably just a generation thing. I think back in the day, so that was through my younger years, 90s, 25 years ago.
You didn't get many.
It wasn't a thing, was it? It wasn't seen as a way of developing. No,
and it's such a good sport to get young kids in. It's just the amount of skills it teaches you with regards, to your body awareness, coordination,
like cognitive
mobility.
Skills and stuff like
it's
that,
just, even if you're not competitive at it, just having kids.
It's body awareness, isn't it? Is a huge thing. And I think, and that was another thing as well. I think there's one thing knowing now. I was, as most lads are, I was quite a skinny lad. I wasn't naturally very big at all. I was wiry. I was skinny. I was just your typical, I guess, sporty teenager, really.
Sporty little teenager.
Spotty or sporty?
I said spotty, but
why'd you say spotty?
Because most teenage boys are, aren't they?
Yeah, I was a bit actually. I didn't bring it up.
Anyway.
So the one thing I wish I could have done a bit more or had someone guide me was maybe the strength and conditioning side of things. I never did it. All I did was, go football training, run a lot. Never really focused on my eating that much. More so as I got a bit older, obviously, and definitely now, obviously, as I developed my knowledge. But I never really had people around me. But then,
was it? It probably wasn't. I think it's more. Well, not more recently, but it probably wasn't. Your coaches probably didn't even think too much about it?
No. I would say that. I would say, like, at professional clubs now.
The strength and conditioning team is
it depends on what level. Like, I mean, I was at Torquay United for a number of years for the youth team. And you were never even really told to go and do it on your own, to be fair, which I think was but then, like I said, it's not the fault. I think it's just because there wasn't that knowledge behind the game as there is now. And at most levels now, they'll get, even if they're told to go away and do their own bits, they might not have the facilities to accommodate the team, professional teams and even youth teams of professional teams. They have the facilities and amazing training facilities to allow them to do it. You didn't really have that back in the day, but then we didn't have the advice to also go away and do your own thing in the sports science. So it's different. The coaches I had when I was younger, all the coaches I had when I was going through were brilliant. On a football level and fitness and football fitness, but in terms of like as an athlete, strength and conditioning and developing power, speed, there was never like technique, skills, running. We did bits of fast feet and agility type stuff, but. Yeah, obviously back then it was at more basic level and it was just on, football as opposed to developing the athlete, I suppose, more football specific, which is important. But anyway, I'm blabbing on. But that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just, I think it's important, as younger age as possible, within reason, because as boys and girls, when they develop, obviously, you don't want to do too much and load the body too much because their bones and joints are still developing, so you have to be very aware of that.
I think it's really important. And I've got a younger client who's really into her sport and competitive sport, and you know, she's been working with me since she was 16. Yeah, so in the gym and you know, twice a week, you know, lifting heavy weights, and it's really helped her game, and I think it
Shout out to Emily.
Good old Emily.
Yeah, and like she'd probably be the first to admit that it's definitely helped her develop her game. You know, and I think I said it's just having the right guidance, and I think there was just so much more knowledge and
research
and access as well, because I know the internet can be a pretty shit place sometimes, but also it can be brilliant in terms of information. It can be too much information, but I think it gives everyone more of an awareness of stuff going on. So whereas before, like, what do you have access to? Very little, I guess. It would just be in books, wouldn't it? And
textbooks and obviously courses and
stuff
things
like that. So there is so much more to access in the world, and you know, it does open your brain to it, and sometimes it can be overwhelming. But if you can channel it and get the right stuff, there is some great stuff out there. I don't know what I'm leading on to there and why I started that bit of the conversation, but football, keep playing. I do what I do. We train now. So what we do with our training now is we just do a combination of you know, different things really. I still have an element. There's strength work. There's hypertrophy. We do sort of phases to a certain degree of what we do, but generally, a week's training for us does combine a combination of different, you know, sort of
training
types
methods,
of training.
Like we spoke about a few weeks ago, really. It's having that variety and just a combination of everything.
And it's on the goals as well. Like I said, if it just depends what your goal is. My goal is to you know, is body composition. But I want to look good. It's important for me that I do. One, for my own well-being, and also I think as on a business level as well. I think it promotes the right image to a certain degree, and also, you know, hopefully, you know, clients, members put trust in you because you're walking the walk as such, and doing, you know, I think it makes a difference. Is that fair? Is that a fair thing to say? Hello?
Oh, is that me? Oh, I thought
Well,
you were asking them.
Well, they're going to respond to me, are they?
Yes.
As a fitness professional, you do need to walk the walk, and you can't be perfect all the time. And like, you know, my eating is not perfect by any means, but yeah, understatement. But
especially at the minute, God, our blooming food bill is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's quite high. But generally, my eating's good. That's what I'm trying to say. But again, sort of going off subject a bit, in terms of what we do, like living the lifestyle is important to us.
Yeah.
It motivates us, doesn't it?
And because we just want to, you know, that's how we are. We just want to lead a healthy lifestyle, and we enjoy doing what we're doing. And, you know, to have the energy to do what we want to do, it's, you know, we need to make sure we're looking
It's
after
both personal and professional for us on both levels, isn't it? I wouldn't do what I do unless I enjoyed it. So I want my clients and members to enjoy what they're doing as well, because I understand that has to be a part of it. And that's why not one way of training is the absolute way you have to do something. Yeah. You have to be able to adapt. I have to adapt to my clients, and within reason, you know, it's got to be a bit of give and take, isn't there?
That's it, isn't it? You know, because we used to do a bit of CrossFit, and because we do some Ollie lifting, and because we do this and this and this, and because I teach spin, and because you play football. It's not like we go, right, you have to do that, you have to do that, because that's what we do. You know, I've got clients that hate spin, and which is fine.
It doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It's just some people like running, some people hate running. More so now, I think people are getting out and maybe walking and trying to run and do stuff, and that's great. But there are, you know, there's loads of other stuff you can do as well. There's no right or wrong. It's just trying to find it's what motivates you, what stimulates you.
Enjoy, and what you enjoy, isn't it? And as you know, as long as you're being active and you're gaining what you want out of it, then you know. Brilliant. That's what you should be doing.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Don't know.
As long as you're happy, we're happy.
Yeah. Happiness is key in all areas of life, isn't it? Training shouldn't be a chore. It should be hard, it should be challenging, but it certainly shouldn't be a chore. Some sessions are going to be an absolute grind, and it can be hard to get yourself up for and motivated and stuff, and that's going to happen. But overall, it should be rewarding, and it should be enjoyable, and it should be stimulating. We've said before, like doing too much overtraining can have the adverse effect. under training, not doing enough, isn't going to have the effects you want it to have.
Yeah.
And doing the wrong sort of training just because you've seen someone else do it and you want to try it. That's what we're saying. Like, it is a case of a bit of trial and error really, and finding out what routine works for you. Okay, I think well, we've gone on. We've talked
Rambled on
quite a bit. So it's just a bit about us really, and about our training and
hopefully we kept you entertained for half an hour.
for that length of time. Half hour is. I mean, if I had my time again, as in if I could rewind back half hour, I would probably just talk about me for that period of time and probably cut you out.
Well, luckily we can't, so I'm just going to stop this
I'm
video.
really glad about that. I feel like I missed an opportunity here.
What? To
Just talk about myself for half an hour. I gave you, like front of house, let you step forward. And now,
I thank you for that.
yeah, but I'm not willing to accept that.
Well,
because...
you can make up for it next week.
Okay, no, I don't want to talk about me next week, honestly. No one's it. Okay, so have a good weekend.
Yeah.
See you all next week. And keep pushing on, people. See you later, guys.
Cool. See you
Bye.
later.
Bye.